faces, worn out places, worn out faces, bright and early for their daily races, going nowhere, going nowhere. Their tears are filling up their glasses, no expression, no expression. Hide my head, I wanna drown my sorrow. No tomorrow, no tomorrow. And I find it kinda funny, I find it kinda sad. The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. I find it hard to tell you, I find it hard to take. When people run in circles, it's a very, very mad world. Mad world.
My father was a carpenter and my mother stayed home until the war started. Then she went to work. She was Rosie the Riveter at the shipyard. Yes, she worked full-time every day during the week. But when we got home from school, we had animals to take care of. My brother had to herd the cows. We only had 3, but they were always way off in the marsh, and he had to go hunt for them and bring them back so when Mom got home she could milk. And calves, we had 6 calves at one time. Had to take care of those. And so we kept busy. There was a lot of work on the farm. We kept busy until she got there, and then she'd fix dinner, because I never did learn to cook. I fed and watered the chickens. I slopped the pigs. That's about it. Weed the garden. That was the other great part. We had all our own food. We had milk, we had butter. My father did go in the service, but he didn't go to war, fortunately. All up and down the West Coast. And we had a little wood cabin on the beach, and that was the best place to watch for planes. I even had a turn. People always reassured each other that we'd be fine. They'd never make it that far, but nobody was absolutely sure. And there was a chart on the wall showing all the different planes, the difference between the American planes and the Japanese planes. I guess as children always figure the adults will take care of us. If anything happens, we'll go someplace and be safe.
He was a famous trumpet man from out Chicago way. He had a boogie style that no one else could play. He was the top man at his craft. But then his number came up and he was gone with the draft. He's in the army now, a-blowin' reveille. He's the boogie-woogie bugle boy of Company B. They made him blow a bugle for his Uncle Sam. It really brought him down because he couldn't jam. The captain seemed to understand, because the next day the cap went out and drafted a band.
Some things were scarce, and we started saving things like tinfoil and grease. I kept asking my mom, why are we saving bacon grease? She said, they use it in the munitions. I had a hard time figuring how you put bacon grease in a bomb. Peeling the little thin tinfoil off my dad's cigarette packages until we had a ball this big. I'm not sure what we were saving tinfoil for either. Well, besides saving things, we often had to turn our lights out and make it totally dark. And I can't remember exactly why, except They called it an air raid alert. And I think what they did was they rang our phones, because the area was so big that there isn't a siren that we all would hear. So they rang our phones and we turned the lights out. They had a lot of slogans, and we were all told, loose lips sink ships. If you know anything, don't talk about it. And apparently that was the case all over the state, not just where I lived on the coast. But it was really great living on the south end of Whidbey Island, because once a month we'd go to the local community hall. Everybody would come, and 2 or 3 people would sing, and there was one lady who whistled songs, and then we would do country dancing, and even the kids could do that. So there were lots of good times during the war too. Fortunately, we weren't affected too much because we didn't live in the city. City people had it more difficult.
I wrote my mother, I wrote my father, and now I'm writing you too.
You can imagine a little country girl with homemade clothes coming to the city. It wasn't easy, but most of the kids were really nice, and it didn't take me too long to fit in somewhat. But everything seemed to move so fast. I wasn't used to it. We didn't have a street by our house when we lived on the farm where cars drove by all the time, and we hardly ever saw. The only bus around was a school bus. We never saw a transit bus. But I got very excited about cars when we moved to the city. I was pretty thrilled by cars, because all we ever drove was an old pickup truck. So it wasn't very long before I knew every car on the road. And times were kind of hard. It was hard to find a place to live. All the soldiers were coming back, and they hadn't been building many houses. So they had to start building in a hurry when all those guys came back, because they wanted to start families, and that's how some of these developments started. That's when they started. Mass building of houses. About 6 weeks before I got out of high school, I worked swing shift at the Olympic Hotel on the elevator. And the Olympic was very special at that time. Big time hotel. So we had movie stars and all kinds of people come and stay there. When I went to Garfield, I was a year behind Quincy Jones. I knew his girlfriend really well. She came to work on the elevator with me. Yeah, we had a great time. I can't remember the titles of many of the war songs, but I remember Coming In on a Wing and a Prayer. That impressed me a lot. I could just picture those guys in the plane, and I had no idea how really hard it was.
Coming in on a wing and a prayer. Coming in on a wing and a prayer. Though there's one motor gone, we can still carry on. Coming in on a wing and a prayer. What a show, what a flight.
Yes, we really hit our target for tonight.
How we sing as we live through the air. Look below, there's our keel over there. With our full crew aboard, and I trust in the Lord. Coming in on a wing and a prayer.